are aroused. I haven't seen people so aroused in a very, very long time.
Do not come. Do not come. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat, our Sunday night shit show. Happy 4th of July. Freedom isn't free.
America.
Globalize the
Go
intifada.
America. Or globalize the intifada.
Globalize
There's two
the
camps.
intifada.
You're in one or the other.
Well, what exactly are we celebrating on July 4th?
We're celebrating that we like to barbecue mostly and
Like
set
to
off
barbecue?
fireworks and blow off our hands and fingers. And
I know. I just saw a little 8-year-old girl was killed near us with, illegal fireworks. It's horrible. I actually didn't think there were going to be a lot of them. A lot of our street celebrations were canceled, or like I think I mentioned on Wednesday, were canceled because of the ICE stuff. But we definitely still heard a lot of fireworks. Yeah.
right. We need to just get rid of fireworks. Let's be honest. With like in Sacramento, it's 100 degrees here. Everything's dry and parched as all hell.
Yeah.
And you're just asking for major problems. I mean, in all the places with terrible conditions for fires. Dogs hate it. Look, we got the drones are amazing. They can do amazing stuff with the drones.
Yeah.
All the money you spend on fireworks, you can do the drones cheaper, like way cheaper.
And reuse them and not
a public
shit into the air.
One of those big fireworks that goes up in the air for a show. They're like $2,000 a pop or something absurd every time.
It's totally absurd. A huge waste of money. All the little pieces of whatever, the debris that falls, it's all just not good. And also, like, okay, you've seen one, like how many times you're gonna lie there oohing and awing with your neck crooked up? It's just not worth it. Hello, everybody. We are your grumpy peanut gallery today. There's some days
get off of my lawn, you kids with the fireworks.
Cannot bear it. Proud to be an American. Okay, so let's start with something good, which is our amazing members, our pup heroes and sheroes. We love you guys. We adore you. Look at all the names whizzing past us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys make us super happy. Please do make sure to like and subscribe and smash that notification bell. Look at that. What a scroll. I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
And it is Socialist Sunday. Maybe we need to incorporate that once in a while, since I think we're both socialists pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, you might call yourself a communist. I'm just socialist.
I'm gonna say socialist because I don't want to go whole hog. I don't want to commit fully. No, yeah, I'm a socialist.
Well, that part's funny because there's a couple people I know that are always in my DMs, like trying to convince me that I should be full blown communist. And like, look, it's all semantics, really, when we get down to it. But I'm much more socialist. I'm not against communism. I just don't think you're not going to flip a switch and have communism where you can flip a switch and have some socialist programs that might lead to socialism. And then if we get there, maybe we can have full blown communism. But that Star Trek world is just for our grandkids.
Let's hope. Yeah. Oh my God. I just want to get into so much of it. Revolutionary Socialist. Congratulations on your revamped show, Jen. I love the way your show looks now. Everybody should check out Jen and Peter on Revolutionary Change. I think that's the new title, and it looks really great. We're pinkos. I love it.
Pinko. I'll take pinko. Yeah.
Pinko. Actually, I kind of
that's a
like
term.
that.
There's no way they're going to reclaim that. So we'll have pinko forever if we want to just call ourselves pinkos.
Yeah. There's no like Elizabeth Warren and
I'm a pinko.
No, I'm just as pinko as Bernie. I just saw this, Audrey. I'm so sorry. That stinks. And I think I saw that Kim
last week. Who was it? Kimmy, I think.
Kimmy tested positive. I think if it's not, I'm sorry if I said it about somebody who did not, but that stinks. I'm really sorry. I hope that you have an easy time of it and recover quickly. I took metformin, which was recommended to me by Dr. Howard, who we had on, who was one of the people who one of the doctors actively fighting against the that Swiss, the Swiss idea of let it rip that became the Great Barrington Declaration.
Yeah.
And but he showed me and sent to me some papers from the Lancet, some studies that metformin is really supposed to reduce the possibility of long COVID by about 60%. When I got COVID, I got it at the same time that Josh and Xander did. I was the only one who took metformin. It was a whole thing to get my doctor to sign off on it. I had to send her the Lancet studies. Then I had to have her call it in to the pharmacist, who for the first 2 times refused to give it to Josh, who went to go pick it up for me. And then they gave me the wrong, like there's a certain number of days and a whole schedule of taking it that you're supposed to do. My doctor hadn't called that in right. I had to get that from her. It was a whole thing. And I had the worst case of COVID of anybody in my family. And it has persisted the longest. Like, I think I still feel, and it was now almost 2 years ago, but there are still times where I'm like, oh, I think I need to sit down in a way that I never used to feel, like after vacuuming or something, Anyway, but I hope you have a, radical rest.
Yes.
Fuck. And you don't have health insurance. So, I mean, oh, thank you. And that sucks. Of course you don't, because happy birthday, America. Jesus Christ. God, I'm so mad. Okay, let's do something nice and cheerful before I lose my shit. Let's taking away our banner. Thank you, everybody, for liking and subscribing. We are doing our cheers, which I will not be able to find. Both Pat and I have had crazy computer issues and tech issues today, so please bear with us, as you always are forced to do.
To a level where I'm like suspicious it's hackers today. It's just crazy for me.
Anyway. Well, this is like a flip or hacker and tech stuff being used for good, I hope, although who the hell knows anymore. For now, we're going to cheers this guy. Let's hope he's not like some of the other people we've cheersed and then had to come back and make
sorry about the Nazi.
This man, Joshua Aarons, developed an app that tracks people who work for ICE. So let's hear what he has to say.
Joining us now is Joshua Aaron, the developer behind a new app called ICE Block, which allows people to share information about ICE sightings in their area. Josh, you launched this app back in April, and it encourages users to, quote, see something, tap something when they see ICE agents nearby. Can you explain how the app works and why you wanted to create it?
Absolutely. So I wanted to create it because when I saw what was happening in this country, after reading Project 2025, after watching Trump's first administration, and certainly hearing his campaign rhetoric on the trail for the second, I had to do something to fight back. And, being raised in a Jewish household and growing up in that community, I had the opportunity to meet Holocaust survivors and learn all about the history of Nazi Germany and Hitler's rise to power. And when we see 5-year-olds in courtrooms without representation, when we see college students being disappeared for their political beliefs, and even worse, when we see babies being ripped from their mother's arms while they're screaming for their children in the name of patriotism in this country, I really think we're watching history repeat itself. And ICE Block was about the best way I could think of to fight back.
Josh, are you not concerned that the administration might come after you personally for the development of this app?
I think whenever you push back against a regime that is purporting authoritarianism, pushing fascism, and subverting the rule of law in our Constitution, if you push back against them, you have to know they're going to come after you in some way. And I say, go ahead, come after me. You can demonize me all you want. You can demonize the app all you want. But the reality is it's protected speech under the First Amendment. There's nothing illegal about creating this app, and there's nothing illegal about using the app. We are not purporting violence against anybody. This is simply an early warning system. And if your viewers liken it to something easy to understand, think of Waze or think of Apple Maps. When you can report a speed trap up ahead, what do? You slow down when you see that warning. And this is the same kind of thing. So if you see a warning that ICE has been cited, just turn around and keep yourself and your family safe.
All right. I like it.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I was watching this interview live, I think he had 500,000 people have installed his app already. So that's a lot. And when you consider that's, this is mostly in LA and California relevant at this point.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of fucking people. And if we can spread this around some more, and somebody mentioned it was just for iPhones. So hopefully he gets it for Apple out soon. And we get the whole world tracking where the fucking Nazis are.
Yeah. I mean, it is really another testament to, just like worker solidarity, because this isn't government run. Clearly it's combating the government. I am reminded of, because I'm getting these alerts all the time. We are now always in our fire watch season. And it is what is it called? The app, Watch Duty. That's right. Watch Duty that alerts us where the fires are spreading, if you have to evacuate. And that is all done for free by people who just care about their communities, because our government is not clearly to be relied on to care for us.
And wasn't it the Elon tracker that got, what ended up happening with that?
Yeah. Was that the private jet
planes
thing?
Yeah. Right.
He got it shut down at one point.
We need more of that. I want a tracker that shows me where my politician is every moment of the day. And I want them scared for their fucking lives.
Yeah. Because that's what they're doing to us. Like everything. I go to, Kroger's, Ralph's, whatever, and things are on sale, but they're only on sale if you scan the QR code. Now, why do you need to scan a QR code? They also have the member benefits, which it's free to be a member, right? So it's all tracking us. They're tracking our face, our eyes, our biometrics, our likes, our dislikes. So the people in power for sure should be tracked, surveilled way more heavily than the people they're supposed to be representing.
Yeah, I refuse to use those apps that you're talking about. Safeway does that too, where it's a new thing where it's like, you can only get the discount if you get your phone out right now and scan this code. It's like, that's a little like, why the fuck would you have to do that? Like, no.
Because they're going to do that dynamic surge pricing soon. And so they're like, oh, Lila likes to buy her dog food at 10:30.
And if any product that you sell is like $10 or less and you have it locked up, I'm not buying it from you. Yeah. I'm not buying it from you. Fuck you. If you got to unlock like a computer because people could run off with a computer, fine. That makes sense. But my $4 deodorant, I'm not going to ring a bell and stand around waiting for some fucking junior high kid to come over and push a button for me.
Yeah.
Like, fuck that.
But they're
what about my time? When did my time, this is my time. I'm not wasting my time at your store because you're worried about homeless people stealing something so they smell better. Yeah.
And maybe try to get a job. Like,
right?
Accuse them of not doing enough, working harder, or healthcare. Or the thing where like there's some stores now where it's all just, I know we've talked about this before, but it's all just self-scan. But then there's a person standing by the door to take a look at your receipt. Like, whoa, you trusted me enough to do a job I wasn't trained for, that I'm not getting paid for, but you don't trust me enough. Now you need somebody there. Like, you've got to pick one. I hate all these people. I am so angry. I'm just so angry all the time. I cannot even tell you. I'm furious. Let's get some joy.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do, Lila. You and I, once in a while, we won't even stream it. We'll just hop online and spin the wheel.
I like that.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Here,
I need to pick out more of these for us, though, and wrap them up for us.
Ooh, a rageometer.
Right?
Yeah, we need to do something with that.
Oh, wait, I totally, Pat, I wasn't even listening to you. What did you say?
Oh, Jen suggested that something about a rageometer for Lila. And I think like somehow a rageometer is there's something there. We need to make it happen.
You can hook me up biometrically. And when my heart starts going, my fifth watch, whatever. Okay. All billionaires are bad, baby. Don't you forget it.
Oh yeah, this one is I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Block 9 does a lot of activist stuff, you know, presentations, and it'll be clear, but kudos to them. This is amazing.
J.K. Rowling has responded to a mural in which she is depicted being sent to Mars, which appears in one of the venues at this year's Glastonbury Festival. The Harry Potter author is portrayed alongside other notable figures such as Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg. She is seen smoking a cigar and holding a glass of wine, in reference to the celebratory picture she posted following the UK Supreme Court ruling on the definition of a woman. The installation is created by political campaign group led by Donkeys in collaboration with Block 9, one of Glastonbury's queer areas. Various politicians and billionaires are pictured sporting spacesuits, boarding a rocket with Elon Musk inside. An accompanying sign reads, "The tech bros want to go to Mars, so we're sending them there." There's room on the rocket for a few more souls, so they're being joined by Trump, Netanyahu, Vance, Farage, and Rowling. Just some of the people who in recent years have made life on Earth more difficult for the rest of us. Writer Julie Bindel took to X after the installation was unveiled to say, "I mean, J.K. Rowling has long been a lesbian icon, but this takes it up a notch or two." Rowling responded to her and said, "I'm really confused. Am I supposed to feel insulted? That's the coolest I've ever looked in my life." Alongside the mural is a Tesla car with a license plate "Fascism," decimated under the weight of a storage unit. The car was crushed by 98-year-old war veteran Ken Turner in a tank and then transported to the festival.
We've crushed fascism before, and we'll crush it again.
Will we? Let's do it. Get them to Mars. Goodbye and good riddance. Do not let the door hit you where the good Lord does believe.
For just $7 million, you can get in my homemade submarine.
Yeah. Okay. So we got the orcas. There's some otters. I think maybe even were manatees messing up like yachts and submarines. What do you do with a space rocket? You need a bird to get in there quick before it like goes beyond the.
I don't know. Maybe it just has a failure to launch and it goes into the ocean and the orcas finish them off or something.
Oh, like bipartisan effort.
Like yeah.
All right, I'm still not able to upload this last thing I was trying to upload. So
okay, well then in that case, we should just spin the wheel again.
All right. Oh.
That'll take. We have too many videos, so we have to get some videos out of our studio so we can show some other videos.
All right.
Yeah, baby.
This is one we don't have today. Look at us. And it still isn't letting me, even though I just took off too. I don't think we have a what the fuck, but
we have what the fuck.
We do.
Yeah, the statue prank. Is that? Do we
Oh,
show it
yeah,
already?
yeah. You're right. I think I would have a heart attack right now. Like I've lost entirely my sense of humor. I would probably just have a heart attack. But yeah, it is. It's like candid camera. And it always makes me laugh. But I honestly think I would just, like when my kids come home late and they're trying to be quiet as they walk in and then Lucky starts barking, I startle like I had no idea that I have a dog and 2 kids. You know, like it's...
right.
Something's going on. It's not great.
This is so the theme today is that we're old people apparently, but the pranks, the kid, I watch all these clips, because I'm always looking for something funny to show, and the pranks they're doing are like mean and just dickish these days. Like they're not funny. They're like, I pissed in your food, haha. Like, we got him. I don't know. It's like they're just not right. Something is wrong.
Oh my God. All right, something's not right, but we got here. Thoughts, prayers, what do you think? My favorite is the hard resistance put up by the party of opposition. That's my favorite part of this whole bill.
This bill, like, basically, it's the biggest executive power grab that we've ever seen in life. Like, all the organizations that are getting funding now are getting defunded, and that is getting handed back to some crony capitalist buddies of Trump's who are in charge of these groups now. So there's no institutional government that used to run a group. It's like now RFK is in charge of our health, where there used to be like, hey, we had vaccine groups that would recommend vaccines at certain points. But no, now it's all just going back to the executive branch, which is, this whole thing is highly unconstitutional. But, Democrats didn't even make the case of it being unconstitutional to the public.
That's the thing. Like, listen, Project 2025 is just Heritage Foundation. It's what Republicans have been doing since I was born, at least that long. And it's disgusting. I mean, it's horrific, even though that's Obamacare. Thank you, Heritage Foundation. But the first time that anybody talked about it, I think it was because like Taraji P. Henson said something at the BET Awards. Like, and almost all of the policies that are Project 2025 policies are like horrifically unpopular. But it took an actress from Hollywood to say it before then Democrats started talking about it all the time. The same thing with the Build Back Better, or what is this, Big Beautiful Bill? This is a Fox News poll with 59% who opposed it. So again, wildly unpopular. And Democrats did almost nothing to list what was actually in it, to fight against it, to call people out, to talk. But how can they? Because they're paid by the same people. What are you going to say? Oh, 17 million people are about to be kicked off of Medicaid. Lucky
Biden 25.
Exactly. 8 million people more were kicked off by Biden. Like, so what are they even going to say? But this is not a popular bill. But as you know, we talk about all the time, Democrats are thrilled about it. They're just going to let everybody die, lose health insurance, and hope that helps them in the midterms.
Well, specifically on the 25. So under Biden, 25 million people lost Medicare, right? And the argument they're making, when Stephen Selmer, thank you for pointing it out, was that, that was all pandemic related stuff. People who lost their benefits after the pandemic relief ended, which was set to automatically end. No, as Stephen Selmer points out, friend of the show, hero, great data on Palestine, for example, all the time. Yeah. Amazing. No, it took an order from Biden to cancel that. So it was not like this was scheduled to expire on X date and then everybody
continued enrollment.
Right. So no, that was an entire lie. When you see that lie, that's a propagandist that doesn't care about the people kicked off Medicare, obviously, because that was 25 million fucking people.
And
it required him pretending the pandemic was over. That's the worst part, because that act has convinced the entire public in the entire world to let go of COVID protections.
That's right.
Well, he did more than just strip 25 million people from Medicare. He convinced a whole world to just keep getting, like, he shortened the lives probably at this point of billions of people.
I mean, at least over 800,000 people in our country, plus all the people who became disabled with
But
long
that's what I
COVID.
mean, the long term and where this is going.
Yeah.
Like a kid in high school now,
Oh my God.
I don't know. I hate to, I don't want to be depressed, but like you can't get COVID every year. You can't do it. You're not going to live long.
No,
Like,
you're
this is
going to have
not
cancer,
sustainable.
diabetes, Parkinson's, a heart attack, stroke.
Yeah, you're going to have
mean,
cancer at 30.
Yeah.
You know, where it used to be like, oh, 50s and 60s, you'd start getting more cancer rates. But
yeah,
it's just going to be inflammation. This whole thing is inflammation. Inflammation causes cancer. The connection is right there in front of everybody. All the data is there.
100%. So let's just go through it really quickly because yes,
sorry.
there was no, I agree. I mean, it's disgusting. So this woman, Abby, writes, does anyone even remember that the Biden administration kicked 25 million people off of Medicaid? And Micah Irfan, who I think is Democrats in Texas, and I had been following him, but I immediately unfollowed, quote tweets her and says, no, because that never happened. Here's what actually happened. During COVID, a huge number of people were allowed to be temporarily added to Medicaid, so everyone had coverage. The provision was always temporary. That's a lie. So when the pandemic ended, it expired, requiring people to fill out paperwork to stay enrolled. So first of all, he's already just accepting, and this is why Democrats suck and they're not an opposition party, because healthcare is a human right. Democrats will not say that. They want work requirements. They want to make sure that, you know, just like Clinton put in there, you know, make sure that nobody's scamming the Medicaid rules. And usually if you're an able-bodied young person, so they basically capitulated to all the right-wing talking points because Democrats are a right-wing party. And so now you have some Democratic leader saying, just fill out the paperwork, guys. What's wrong with you? And blaming people who are already poor, who are probably already working many jobs, who are taking care of relatives, who are working in the gig economy that Democrats have loved to push for all of us. Thanks, brother-in-law, to Kamala Harris. And oh, by the way, all of Obama's former speechwriters and staff who went on to, do GoFundMe and Uber and all the gig economy bullshit stuff. So how do you prove that you're working? You don't necessarily have written down hours. Also, if you're too sick to work, but you're also uninsured, what doctor are you going to go to get some proof in writing to show, probably at this point, to some AI phone receptionist that you actually do deserve to be on Medicaid? I mean, like, if you want to kill a policy, you means test it and force people to fill out paperwork. That's what you do.
That is what you do. And the core argument he made there, it all relied on the pandemic ending, just to bring this back to that, which it didn't ever end. So, he just lays out right there why 25 million people should not have been kicked off of Medicare.
Yep.
Right there.
Which it shouldn't even be something that you have to apply for anyway. Just if Democrats were the party of the working class, if they were the oppositional party, I know we all know that they're not, but this is, the reason that some of us spend so much time pointing it out is because that is not the solution, which is also, I love Stephen Semler. We should really ask him to come back on soon because he got really mad about all of this, because it is infuriating to see the amount of money that this bill gives to ICE, to the Pentagon, the cuts to social safety that were, so many of them already teed up for Republicans by Democrats. So great party of opposition. These are some of the cuts, just so we know. Big, beautiful bill will leave most households worse off. The bottom quintile is going to lose about $24,000 or 24 million. What is that? Billion? I better look at it like this. This is going to help me. Sorry, guys. The tax cuts that are going to help the wealthy in the billions add up to $5 trillion. Cuts to Medicaid, $1 trillion. Cuts to clean energy, which is the future. All the talk about, as much as I can't stand Elon Musk, that's one of the reasons he's pissed, is he's losing all of his subsidies for his EVs. But, that is the future. And we are cutting that by $500 million. I mean, is that like, in the end, that's pretty much the whole Build Back Better. Right? That's the whole Inflation Reduction Act, or whichever part was separated out that actually passed. Ended up going from a $16 trillion Green New Deal to the $6 billion that, what's his name? Joe Manchin said that he'd be fine with. Then Biden countered with $4 billion. Like, why would you do that? Like the whole thing was negotiated down by our own party, and now it's all been cut. So kudos.
And I mean, the clearest part of it is that all those things that were cut by Democrats would have gotten them votes. Like, use our tax dollars and money in ways that buys your party votes. Like, do that. Like, just make it that, hey, you want to vote for me? We're going to decriminalize weed. We're going to, like, any popular policy, just fucking do it. Like, the pandemic was a huge opportunity to spread socialist, progressive, leftist policy because everybody loved it. And there was a need for it. And it was so clearly a benefit that people got. And then all the Republicans get to come in and rip it away, as using the Democrats also ripping it away as an excuse.
Yep.
And the Democrats are not going to fight back. They're enabling all of it. It's like I was watching this, I forget who it was even, but they were having a discussion about giving all this executive power to Trump. And like, well, the downside is, they're going to hate it when the Democrats get in power and have all that power at the executive branch. And it's like, that's clearly somebody that doesn't understand the game here, because in no level will they use any of that executive power to do anything except continue or slightly claw back some of this stuff to keep their progressive, cred. But they're all out there now saying we got to be more fucking Republican still after all this time.
100%. Just as a reminder that Medicaid has many different names. So I think a lot of people, and there's anytime something really horrible happens under a Republican administration regime, there's the group of Blue MAGA who are like, well, fuck around and find out. You shouldn't have voted for, this person. Meanwhile, like, we're all getting what everybody in power deserves. So it's just ridiculous. But a lot of people aren't aware that their names, that your Medicaid has different names in different states. Like, we have CalCare in California. There's like, each state, they don't call it necessarily Medicaid. So people, it's like, take your government hands off my Medicaid kind of idea is what's happening right now. People don't realize they were actually on Medicaid. They were on some social safety program, social welfare program. You're worried that one person might be getting health care. Double dipping.
No, and I did see a lot of that, what you're talking about, the libs always come out and say, well, you voted wrong, so you guys deserved it, that kind of thing. And they're doing that with the flood, which we'll get into the flood too in a bit.
Yeah,
but like,
disgusting.
It's the same thing. Like, if you look, I don't like a state being run by Republicans, but even the Republican in that state that voted the wrong way, I don't want them to die.
Yeah.
but
a lot of their kids. What about kids?
But like, it's just layered. Like, okay, so let's say those people should die. Well, there's still like 40% Democrats in that state. So even your own logic is like, those people didn't vote for that policy, so just fuck off.
I haven't been able to vote for who I wanted to in, 13, 15 years. So like, what kind of democracy is that? To act like we all are what is happening in our country is a joke.
The last person I voted for that actually, won was Obama.
Thanks, Obama.
And, so I'll take the blame for everything Obama did. But after that, I can't blame, I'm not involved in picking any of this.
But then it never works that way. Because if you say, oh, wait, you voted for Biden, then you own the genocide. You own 800,000 COVID deaths. Then it's always, well, no, he was the lesser of the two evils. So somehow it always works out for Blue MAGA people to feel morally superior to Red MAGA.
And they're loving it. And the the left strategists and Democratic Party people and the DNC, they're loving all this misery, because all this misery means they have to do so fucking little to scrape by in the midterms. They're so giddy about all this evil happening.
I mean, as Daniel wrote, like, he's already gotten all of these requests for money from Democrats because they're so impressed. They're putting these out. Oh my God, this is the leader, Jeffries, who stood for 8 hours. Like, it was too late, too little, too late. He's fought against every progressive left, whatever policy. And this is your hero? No, just send him $5 more.
It's just so clear. Like, okay, that didn't work. So what? So what are you going to do? Like, that didn't work. That's your plan.
I don't know. He's the leader America deserves. I mean, they cannot try to fundraise enough off of their own failure. It's amazing. Yes, he is the leader you all deserve, Democrats. 100%. Way to go. It is truly disgusting to see. Okay, here's a couple more things. I do think this is really fascinating to see. The beige there are Chinese exports for clean energy technology, lithium ion batteries. China exports about $65 billion worth, the United States, $3 billion worth, and solar panels and modules, $40 billion worth, United States, 69 million. So we are way behind in renewables and solar energy and the future. And we're just doubling down on coal and fossil
and
fuels.
we're not just behind on the future. We're actively suppressing the future from getting here with the tariffs. You know, China has some really fucking amazing electric vehicles, and we are so far behind that clean technology. And you can't get Chinese, cars here. I mean, you can get Tesla, which is actually a Chinese fucking car, but you can't get a Chinese manufactured car here that would really produce some efficiency relative to coal. Yeah. But we're stopping that. We're just like, none of that. We can't have that.
Can't have that competition, which would actually make our cars better. But yeah, I mean, as Zachariah is saying, also, it'd be so great if we had mass transit that was fast and clean, free. That's the way of the future, is not more cars and more tires. And
the super train analogy or whatever really points it out. Like, they have these super trains, right? And what do we have instead of the super trains? We have the billionaire genius suggesting one car at a time in an underground tunnel.
A tunnel. He's just a tunnel.
Like, that's our version of the super train. Your car can go in a train and you can die down there behind 7,000 other cars that die down there.
Right. Well, because what he doesn't want to have to ever do is compete with mass transit. So he fought to get all, billionaires fight against the policies that would make us safer. And then they'll throw a couple $1 million and want some prize for their big philanthropy after they have put us all in this horrifying situation. So kicking people off of healthcare, SNAP benefits, huge transfer of wealth and that's basically all Trump accomplished in his first regime also, is just tax cuts. So here they are again. But, again, so I was watching, Lord help me, Mehdi Hassan had some panel in Hollywood or in Los Angeles a couple days ago. And I was watching, and he had Nithya Rahman, who's my city councilwoman, but then also that Brian Tyler Cohen, who has his big lib podcast. Yeah. And somebody else who I can't remember, a Black pundit who's on MSNBC, I think. And I had to turn it off because when Brian Tyler Cohen started talking, I started
vomiting,
shaking. Yeah. But a couple of comments by the guy who was Black made me think that maybe he actually was sort of on the left, but I don't know. But anyway, this thing of Democrats have a horrible rating now from their own voters. Their voters can't stand them. They do nothing. And what people like these libs, like Brian Tyler Cohn, are trying to do is make it seem like it has nothing to do with policy. It's that they're not fighters. He's like, I don't care what your policy is. Democratic voters, they want fighters. You know, he's like, I'm not really sure what, I haven't looked into it enough, what his policies are, but, you know, Stephen A. Smith. Yeah. And I'm just like, what do you, like, Democrats voters want these left progressive policies. We know that. So every time they wheel out somebody like this, you know, blue MAGA turd to say policies don't matter, we just need fighters. What are they fighting for? What are they fighting for? If you can't say defund the police, healthcare is a human right, and, you know, globalize intifada because we should not have a genocide that we are continuing to support bipartisan, like, what are you fighting for? Just to say no kings, no kings, no
exactly.
Kings.
I mean, for all the time spent on all these shows by all these pundits, and none of them are saying, look, the biggest thing that matters to people is fucking healthcare. If Democrats want to win, they should be pushing healthcare for everybody. That's such a winning thing. And I mean, imagine if that message was going on all these talk shows every day, and you're hearing that from the Democratic Party, right? Not the outlier of the Democratic Party, Bernie, who you're attacking, you know, or Zoran or Zoran, or, you know, that message would resonate. And then they just spin the unpopular thing that doesn't work, that's going to make their donors the happiest, and that's the messaging part was wrong, or we were too left wrong, or the tone was wrong. And Zoran's winning, but none of it is about the policy that Zoran's winning.
Yeah, he's just really
because all of his policies are so communist and socialist, but it's just that he's cool and he's young and he's hip, and he can rap. And also, did I mention he's he lied about his ethnicity? And
oh my God, I cannot wait to get into that. I mean, fucking New York Times. Also, Truth to Tweet, not Jonathan Capehart, who I think is a pretty much like corporate Democrat guy, which I wish he weren't, because
he got canned from MSNBC at one point because he was shilling for Hillary overtly, taking money directly, and then got his job back in a couple months. You know, that's what they do. Like, he was actively working for a campaign during the primaries.
But by the way, so was everybody else. So like, why was he the one who was targeted? That's hilarious. But anyway.
But it happened with him so publicly that they had to fire him. But then they're like, sneak back in the back door. Come here.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So going through the thing of like what you just said, how, you know, Democrats won't just say healthcare is a human right, like the other 31 industrialized nations that guarantee their citizens health care. The US, which is the wealthiest nation in the world, needs to tax its billionaires out of existence. They'll still have more money than they could ever spend in their whole entire lives. But we need to finance, because the people who they steal labor from also need health care. Like, see how that works? The people whose labor they are stealing, the world they are exploiting, needs some revenue put back in. We need to tax them out of existence so that they cannot influence our politics more than their one vote. And I'm not talking about federal. I understand federally we're funded differently, but certainly state and municipal, we need that money. Right? How do you finance the public grocery stores and the fast free transit and cap the rent? You tax your billionaires. Like, tax them. They will be fine. They are so pathologically greedy. They now repealed basically the death tax, right? Like they raised the cap on that also, because God forbid that, you know, somehow people working 3 jobs, you're scared maybe they are stealing some Medicaid and they're on the rolls inaccurately. But the children of the billionaires shouldn't have to ever lift a finger to do anything, and just have their parents' wealth, which was ill-gotten anyway, handed down to them without being taxed at all. Don't lift a finger, don't work, just fucking take.
it's crazy to me that all these cuts that are going right to the middle class, working class, proletariat, people struggling to put food on their table, all those cuts are justified. How? Like, why did we cut all that money? Like, Democrats couldn't make the case that this is just to hand money to the billionaire people. Like, you failed to make that easy connection that none of these cuts have to happen if you just don't give a tax break to them. Just keep it the way it was, which is already fucked. But you had to say, let's get double fucked just to give these guys a couple bucks. It's the easiest case to lobby in public that ever existed. And they can't do it.
They can't do it because they're taking money from those same people. It's just unbelievable. It's pathetic. I hate them more than they hate us. And that's saying something because they truly hate us. I just want to bring up my newest hobby, because I hate my life and myself, is watching OAN news. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
One American News, is that what it's called? One American
I think so.
Network or something.
I'm just calling it Audible, by the way, because
good. But it's like the dumbest. It's like it's the most unqualified people to even speak on these issues at all. Like, they're not good at the news part of it. Even they're terrible news people. Just getting around and spinning conspiracy theories, and then getting real guests on that are Republican Congress people, and then putting these conspiracies in front of them to try to get some soundbite so that they can all keep spreading conspiracy theories and just totally fake news. And that they're all in on right now the new thing. What's it called? The
chemtrails.
No, it's the Biden auto pen gate they're trying to create.
That's been going
auto
on for
pen
a while.
gate, like, I know, but they're pushing
crazy.
it hard.
They're sticking with it. Yeah.
Like, auto pen gate, like we all know that Biden wasn't lucid during most of his presidency. He's a shell of the corporations and all the donors, and none of it is driven by anything other than that. But But they're trying to set up the case to repeal a lot of his executive orders and decisions that he signed, and anything he signed, they're trying to say, well, auto pen, he didn't even do it, so maybe we can just get rid of that legally if we just push this auto pen gate thing. And it's also a huge distraction from they're not talking about the cuts to they're not talking about this bill and all the thing people that damage
affordability. They're just trying to. By the way, probably it was. I mean, his whole entourage or whatever, his staff were leading the charge for sure, but it's the same with Trump, and it's just more like wrestling, just trying to get one over and make Dems mad, saying that he ran like he wasn't a moderate, he ran he ruled the way Bernie would have, which is a big lie. Whatever. You brought up wrestling, so I did add this graphic. Okay, what is, like, I saw this. What does that even mean? So Trump said it would be good because Trump is really in with the UFC founder. I forget his name, but he runs runs UFC, and he's like, it would be a good idea to have a UFC fight at the White House. Oh my God! So July 4th next year, they're setting up a UFC fight at the White House. Like, I can watch a UFC fight. Dana White, thank you. I can watch a UFC fight. I can handle the brutality of it and the blood, and it can be disgusting and gnarly. But if you watch this, you get desensitized to it over time. But for the White House to be promoting something that violent to occur on the White House, it's just gross. It's beyond the pale to me. It's just like. Meanwhile, are they all U.S. born? Because I know that a Mexican boxer was just arrested and deported. Who doesn't have totally right-wing views and who wasn't born here will want to come here to play soccer, for the Olympics, to do that? Like, who would come here? And the Olympics are set to be in LA. I can't believe this is going to happen. This is crazy. This is they've destroyed it. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe, I mean, obviously sending ICE here and New York is part of an attack on, the progressive states that voted blue, and, to get one over on Newsom. And although, I mean, obviously, honestly, probably all in the whole thing. I don't think it's bigger than just a handout to Dana White, because Dana White got all the
red-blooded, young white
Right.
UFC fans to go Trump and make it a masculinity issue, like you libtards kind of thing.
Ugh, Jesus. So just so you know what the Center for American Progress, their big push right now, and honestly, if we had done a worst of the week this week, it really should be the New York Times, although that could be every week also.
Or near Tandon of obviously.
or exactly. Yep. Can Democrats find their way on immigration? And just as a reminder, that was a huge policy debate in 2019 and 2020. Voting Democrats were disgusted by Trump. They wanted somebody to help solve our situation at the border so people were not being caged. It was very popular to give people a path to citizenship and to treat them humanely, even though a lot of those voters didn't realize what Obama and Biden had done under Obama's regime. But so here is the Democrats on stage, this is in 2019, 2020, saw themselves as morally courageous. American voters, it turned out, saw a group of politicians hopelessly out of touch. No proof for this. So basically, this whole article is saying now that Democrats fucked up so badly and turned the American public against people who are migrants or seeking asylum under Biden's regime, completely turned the tide for Democratic voters and made immigration something that now many voters are just as disgustingly right-wing as Republican voters are on this. The New York Times is saying, and this is how they do, it's like scratching each other's back, right? It was a popular issue to make a humane path. Have we even talked about the Dreamers Act? No.
Oh, DACA was such a promise that the Democrats made that they betrayed. Yep. I mean, and they did it to get a lot of, it was a vote. It was a popular issue. It was Bernie and progressivism pushing this stuff. And then DACA would seem humane, and it made the Republicans look like you're just evil bastards, as they are. Mm-hmm. But you don't even support this. This is just people that put on a pathway. And now you've got Trump, throwing random brown people into vans, but saying, we need maybe we'll let the farmers create a pathway for the employees that they sign off on. Maybe we'll have a system like that, like some sort of pathway to citizenship program.
Just for the people that my rich pals say they need to exploit and not pay a living wage to. I mean, that's really what it all comes down to, right? Like hotel workers. It does, because
99% of the people here without documentation are fucking trying to work and make a living. They're no different than the farm worker. It's just that they're not working for your guy, your team, your Republican team, or your Republican donors, or your hotel industry, Trump, or whatever.
But so now that Biden successfully and Democrats made people feel like treating people who are immigrants or seeking asylum are criminal, and that border bill that they talked about how great it was, that even Lindsey Graham said that there was no way Republicans could even try to push something as far right as the border bill that Biden tried to push. So now that they've turned the tide and made people feel like, oh God, this really is a problem, Neera Tanden runs in to say that that's part of her whole philosophy also. She's pushing for a course correction that she sees as overdue. A new proposal from the Center for American Progress, the party's leading policy shop, calls for expanding legal immigration while embracing ideas long championed by conservatives, including making it harder for migrants to qualify for asylum. So expand it, but make it harder. Interesting. That seems like some McKinsey speak right there. Neera Tanden, the center's chief executive, said the plan acknowledged a reality that Democrats had long resisted. They must embrace new immigration restrictions in order to have the credibility with voters to fight the far more expansive plans of the Trump administration. Listen, if you can't become a fascist to fight fascism, what are you even doing?
You can't be, you're not a real strategist other than a corporate, propagandist. If you're looking at the moment right now where all this fascism, where everyone, including Republicans, is largely against all the fascism happening now, and you're not saying, I mean, politically, you should be the opposition party. That's what happens. A wave of opposition to the unpopular shit is what you should run on. A wave of it, not like, yeah, let's lean into some of that. And this is what Democrats should do. We should embrace some of the fascism happening now. That's the worst marketing strategy on earth.
How do you get those fat wads of cash in your wallet if you do not embrace the fascism, Pat? That's the reality that Democrats have to contend with.
Yeah, that's what she's pushing, but that's not reality. The reality is people want fucking healthcare and a living wage, and they don't.
And to treat people humanely.
Look, we are so far away still from the impact of all this deportation madness from hitting us locally. But construction is coming to a fucking stop. There is no construction.
Yeah,
construction.
That's right. Yep.
Absolutely relies on undocumented workers, and
which
there's
is
no way
in it of itself, of course.
But there is no way around it. These companies can't afford to pay themselves out of it. They can't survive without these undocumented workers, and there's been no plan for that. And that is going to hit us all because the housing is already fucked for everybody. So we need to build a lot more affordable housing, which weren't doing before. But what little housing expansion we had helps keep the prices down a little bit, and that's all gone. So housing is going to go up fucking through the roof. Rent is going to go too fucking high. It's already way too fucking high, and it's going to be criminal to be homeless. So
it is criminal. I mean, the system is working as planned. So anybody who is in power right now is helping this along.
Yeah, but if it wasn't to plan, like strategically, Democrats could easily grab this issue, which, like I said, in 6 months, this is going to be 6 months from now, this is going to be looked at entirely differently. And any Center for American Progress, part of their thing is looking long-term studies and economic stuff and seeing how things play with the public popularity. They have people there that can look at this and go, ooh, this is going to be a huge issue, housing, construction, and they're choosing not to. But it just means they don't want to win. I mean, we know this, but they don't want to win.
They don't want to win if they have to take away any of their financial incentive. They just the way I don't like it. I don't want any old Democrat to win, right? Like you want somebody who you believe in. So when people are like, well, it's lesser of two evils and at least it's a Democrat, I don't care if it's a Democrat who works against everything I believe in, right? So they don't want that. They don't care. They get paid anyway because that's the whole point. I know you know that, but
CAP is a think tank to push corporate policy.
Right. Abundance.
And Democrats,
love abundance.
A lot of Democrats have been convinced that CAP is a lefty policy pusher.
It's the one thing they did well was their name. Center for American Progress. It's right there in the name. They are progressive. And Democratic voters are giving the party a C or below, over 70%. And they are going to spin that and say the same thing that Brian Tyler Cohen and everybody on MSNBC and Saki Bomb and all those people say. It's that we need fighters. Even David Hogg, who they removed with the most gentle rebuke of the Democratic Party. Oh, no, we wouldn't try to primary a fighter like Hakeem Jeffries or Nancy Pelosi, both right-wing shitheels. He wasn't even talking about that. We just need fighters. For what? Donald Trump's a fighter. I fucking hate him. I don't want just any old fighter. You want them fighting for what? And if you don't have policies, if you don't have an ideology, if you don't have the courage of your convictions or you don't have convictions, then your fight is meaningless. What is that? It's ridiculous. And
look, getting rid of him, it's another example of hey, fuck you, young people, because he had a lot of young support, obviously, from the shootings and what he's done for gun control and that making that a central issue. So, the Democrats had to look like the bad guy, firing the most centrist, moderate-ish barely-ish progressive-ish guy they could find for milquetoast middling statements about like, hey, can we get some people to fight a little bit? Not Pelosi, you know, she's great. I'm not gonna touch her. So he was terrible. But imagine supporting him as a young person. You're like, you fired him? That like I'm like 10,000 miles left of him, and you can't have him on your party.
Well, and look what they're doing. I mean, we're about to get to this, and we should spin before we get to the Zoran.
We do need to spin because I need a beer and I need an excuse to.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna spin, but you see this swelling of support. Oh wow, he just left me. Swelling of support for Zoran, just the way the swelling of support for Bernie. Whatever you think about Bernie isn't even the point anymore. The policies that he was talking about were so popular. He had millions of volunteers, millions of individual voters. We all remember that blue New York Times map that they had to do 2 versions of to take away the Bernie stuff so you could see the little pockets of support, some of the other idiots that were running against him in 2020, where their support lay, which was almost non-existent. And it was more important to get rid of that rising cohort of young people who were enthusiastic and wanted to be part of this. Ugh. Okay.
And look, I think strategically, they would get so walloped pursuing the course they're on. And the only way they can possibly keep the status quo and maybe pick up a few seats is if they let the Republicans do some really fucking evil shit.
That's the plan.
Because everything they're pushing is like, your strategy is more Republican now after Nazism in our fucking face.
Yeah. Go further to the right, more money for cops, more money for ICE, more money for war, bomb Iran, bomb Syria, Lebanon, kill all the Palestinians, jail anybody protesting a genocide. What is the difference between it? Also, we're not going to support our, immigrant base, or our Black and brown American base, or our LGBTQ, but like, what are they? What are Democrats even standing for right now? Fight, just
our
fight.
Our party. I'm not part of the party.
I know, I do that too.
Let me make that clear. But dude, Mitt Romney would be left of Cap would be fighting Mitt Romney if he was running on the progressive ticket. I mean, as a Democrat, they'd be like, no, Mitt Romney's too left. We can't do that. Mitt Romney left shit.
That's what they're fighting for, is Mitt Romney healthcare. That was too far left. Obamacare. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, baby.
I feel that. Should we do an LOL just since we are there, or
sure? Close enough. Close enough. We got which one do we want? Bill Burr.
We should.
Bill Burr's always good. Yeah.
I love watching your TikTok, which is next level. Clearly, that's expressed by my 13-year-old son.
No, God, please, no, 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 no.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to do that, but it's still socially acceptable to shoot a missile in the general direction of somebody you're upset with. You're like, dude, there was like kids over there. This is my favorite response. Well, they're using kids as human shields. It's like, well, you got to work around that. Jesus Christ, if I'm mad at my neighbor and I want to beat the shit out of him, but he's holding a baby, right? I wouldn't come in and try to punch him through the baby. Yeah, you go in, you throw a hook, you sweep the legs. You do it on the lawn so the baby bounces off the grass, all right? There's fucking rules to this shit.
I love him. I watch him.
He's foolproof.
Far too much, but I love him. I'm sure we're going to get tagged on that. Thank you for the fair use. We should have wrapped it, but
We probably are, and I think we need to follow it up with the puppets because we just do. We're just gonna
do it. We're just gonna have some joy.
It's all timeline cleanse. This show's gonna be just 99% timeline cleansing from now on, and me drinking too much.
I'm drinking off.
Sounds like a baby crying. Oops.
Sorry.
I was putting up Jen's comment too. That probably is a lot.
Josh shot a movie once where they had a whole thing with penguins, and he got to hang out for like a week in Edmonton in Canada with penguins, like on the set. That was pretty awesome.
Can I be honest? I don't get the love of penguins. They're just regular old silly birds. I don't get it. I mean, the ones, the meme with them knocking over each other and the big ones, but like the little penguins that you see, they just look like regular old birds. I don't get it.
I think they're kind of cool. I think maybe because they have like human bonds, like they, that give each other stones and then they're together forever. There's something lovely about that.
I mean, look, an otter versus a penguin. Otters are 10,000 times cuter. Like, I just don't get it. That's so much cuter than a penguin.
But does it all have to be a competition? Can you just open your heart a little bit and love both animals?
No.
I'm joking. I'm
all right, moving on. Let's go.
Okay. So now we are going to we were just talking about, I had a whole thought in my head, the DNC. We might are we getting to the DNC or are we going?
Yeah, let's go to the Dems. How shitty they are.
I mean, okay. In the face of, even though obviously Biden kicked 25 million people off of Medicaid, in the face of this, the largest transfer of wealth to the people who have already destroyed our country and are destroying the whole world, the New York Times chooses to do a hit piece on Zoran Mamdani, who they came out not supporting after saying that they could not support, that they were I guess it was Washington Post. Okay, I'm going to take that back. They said they couldn't support him, but also that Cuomo, in spite of his record and his corruption, would be a better fit for New York City. They now came out with this hit piece, which is insane. New breaking. Mamdani has made his identity as a Muslim immigrant of South Asian descent a key point of his appeal. But he claimed another label when he applied to Columbia. Asked to ID his race, he checked that he was Asian, but also Black or African American. This is one of the authors.
Trying to make an issue of this is just nuts to me.
Disgusting. In an interview, Mamdani said he did not consider himself either Black or African American, but rather an American who was born in Africa. He said his answers were an attempt to represent his complex background, given the limited choices, not to gain an upper hand in admissions. What is the point of this? This is the New York Times. This is the paper of record. I mean, they're despicable, but like, it is so clear they spent all of, mainstream media, corporate media has spent the last few weeks trying to paint him as an anti-Semite. Has not worked, because nobody gives a shit anymore if you call them an anti-Semite, because we see the people that you're fine with, by the way, the Roman salute, Sig Heiling, Elon Musk, who, progressive Ro Khanna was like, well, let's hear what he has to say. Now that let's not push away anybody. We should welcome him back to the Democratic Party, right? You've got
if you're a leftist and you haven't been called an anti-Semite, like you're not fighting hard enough. Which really, what does that do to the word anti-Semitism and the cause of anti-Semitism?
Right.
Like you just took all the gas away from it.
Yeah. But so now they're going to try to make it seem like somebody who was born in Uganda should have filled his, he checked a box. And then I think what he said was he checked the box. He checked.
And he wrote in.
Yeah. And then he said born in Uganda. So he wrote that he was, the Times could not find any speeches or interviews in which Mr. Mamdani referred to himself as Black or African American. And Mr. Mamdani said the college applications were the only instances where he could recall describing himself as such. But he wasn't calling himself Black or African American, but he does have African heritage, which is what they're asking. Or he lived there for.
I don't see a single thing he did wrong in any of this whatsoever. And in fact, claiming Asian probably hurts you in admissions largely, because a lot of the colleges are overwhelmed with highly educated and qualified Asians.
Which is why they would say, which is why he put that he was African American also. But he was from Africa. Like, where do you want to put that?
Yeah, come on.
Truly disgusting. So here is a little more. We've got
in the source, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So so that's the biggest part of all of this. Sorry, let me get to that. Thursday night. Oh, and of course, Eric Adams, very upset. It's an insult to every student who got into college the right way. Meanwhile, just as a reminder, he did not get into Columbia anyway. So it's not even like he profited off of checking that box. His father was a professor there and he didn't get in. But okay. So Adams is trying to make hay of this. Zora Mamdani identified as Asian and African American on college application. The Post is going to do this whole thing. The way they got this information was because a racist chronologist named Cremio, I guess that's how you say it, from Twitter, hacked into Columbia's database and took a look at all of the different applications. I think he was trying to show that Columbia is still using affirmative action in its practices for, admission to the college. I have private information on a public official who is currently running for an important office. This information shows they engaged in professional misconduct. I mean, he wasn't a profession of anything back then. He was a kid applying to school, and he didn't lie. No one but me and a hacker has this info right now. Is it unethical to release it? Then here we go. We caught Zora Mamdani applying to Columbia as a Black man. No, he said he is from Africa. But this is just a little, so he's been doxxed. He's this guy named Jordan Austin Lasker. There are lots of personal anecdotes about him, which we did not add. The one that we're showing, and I have no idea.
I'm sorry, but
yeah, go ahead.
You can look at him and realize how he went down the white supremacist path.
I wasn't going to go
not to bring
there.
looks into it, but
he
probably had an unpopular. It was unpopular in high school, and a group reached out, and then he got on a path to white supremacy because he had to find a scapegoat for why he wasn't having sex or whatever. So he's a guy who believes white people are smarter than Black people.
Right. So this is a typical response of his in a response to somebody who is taking issue with one of his, racist IQ posts. Nassim Nicholas Taleb says, keep crying in response. And Crimeo responds, Lebanon, average IQ 82. Right. So he is, he's a known white supremacist guy on Twitter. This is the person the New York Times in their article says that they got the information from, but they are keeping his identity hidden to protect him from what? But this is your source for your hard-hitting piece of journalism, is this racist shithead on Twitter who insults people from the Middle East.
And obviously all of this is pointing out the fact that the Times doesn't give a shit about anything but the spin that the government wants, just like they did with Israel, and they planted the stories, and they had somebody who'd never written a fucking high profile article ever headline the biggest story that led all the bullshit about the dead babies and beheaded
and the rape. The rape was the big thing. Silent screams without words. Yeah. Which was completely debunked, even by, before New York Times reporters spoke up, already Electric Intifada and Gray Zone had people on the ground sourcing out that there was no proof of any rape on October 7th. And finally, after this documentary former IDF soldier was given a byline, the front page of the New York Times, to write her atrocity propaganda to justify a genocide, try to justify it, screams without words. Some of the reporters came forward, and they couldn't do it on like The Daily with Michael Barbero or whatever. But so they're teaming up with Crimeo and protecting his identity to try to do the bidding of their corporate, owners, and make it seem like he was capitalizing, like Mamdani was capitalizing on the fact that he has 2 Indian parents and he lived a good chunk of his early childhood in Uganda. Like, I still don't even understand. I mean, I do understand, but like, honestly,
they just don't have anything to attack him on. And so they got to try to get something like this to stick. Yep. It's just not going to.
I mean, I don't think so either. And then, Crimeo's sister came forward with this tweet saying one of his worst physical attacks was in middle school. We were getting ready to head to school, but when I went to my backpack, he started bashing my face into a door until my braces broke off. Wish I could say this was the only such incident. She has a couple more things like that. I have no idea, but like, if that were anywhere in the background, and then there were more other people who were doing anecdotes, people who had gone to school with him, but if anything like this existed in the background of Mamdani, you can bet that the New York Times and the New York Post and all of them would be, flooding the zone with abusive past of the, Ugandan kid, whatever.
Yeah. And to be honest, like he made it through the primaries and won the Democratic primary. So all the actual dirt has been dug up on him. Yeah. This is a desperate throw that they wouldn't even make during the primaries is the point. Like, so they're just like, well, let's see, we'll try to make something out of the college thing. They had all this stuff. They don't have anything real on them.
Well, and the funny thing is that making this stuff at the college thing is going right back to, libs are so woke, which that their definition of woke, which is an insult to what woke really started as. But what they're really saying is what libs do is tokenize a few people from different underrepresented groups and then allow that one person to be the face of that group in high places. And it's to everybody's detriment. They don't care about policy. I agree with that. But what they don't want to do is actually talk about his policies, which are make the United States affordable for the working class. And so they're not going to touch any of that. They're going to say, he's just one of those woke libs trying to capitalize on the fact that he could check off a couple boxes to a college he did not even get into. Which why? I mean, his dad worked there. Like, what the hell? What's wrong with him? I actually want to know where his grades not good. What happened? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But I mean, the timing of this is so that they can continue to justify Democrats not endorsing him. Like, oh, we need to figure out if that story gives me a little pause, and then it gives them a reason to be on TV repeating that story.
Yep.
Oh, that thing is giving me a little pause. Here's the story about what he could be doing that we don't even know if it's true. But
and so
that's
now
the whole game.
Yeah. So every time they talk about him, they say charges of anti-Semitism, which he continues to deny. That's like part of the modifier now. And they're probably, I'm sure this is going to be the next thing, right? So like everything that he's denied or they couldn't prove or were just spurious claims are now attached to him in his denial every time they mention him.
Well, and that's the other piece to this they'll do, right? So every time they've had him on in person to discuss any of this, he ends up the winner, right? But now you don't have to have him on anymore. So now you just have people on who refuse to endorse him, who get to subtly bring up this story and plant themselves to the public that he might be this anti-Semitic guy, or this guy who lied to get into college.
Jews in New York are going to feel safe.
So he's not there to defend himself anymore. And it's just like, we got a few more weeks of propaganda of everyone who watches this story on TV hearing that again, another time, somebody else repeats it, and they're not hearing him fight back, on TV anyway.
100%. Or they ask him to defend a phrase or condemn a phrase that he never even uttered, that he just happened to be in the general. I mean, like, it's just so absurd.
Do you know when is his election anyway? When is the general? Do you know? Because
second Tuesday in November, first Tuesday in November, right?
Oh, yeah, it's in November. Yeah, you're right.
First Tuesday in November.
So I had a friend run for.
In line with the Charlie Kirk racism. Oh, Gavin Newsom's son, favorite guy. I have so many thoughts on this that is literally keeps me up at night. Zoran Mamdani eating rice with his hands during an interview. I very sincerely doubt he has to scratch his anus any less than the rest of us, which makes that whole display unbelievably disgusting. I mean, this is in line with the whole New York Times smear to me. Like, they're all one and the same. Charlie Kirk, welcome to the New York Times.
Yeah, the eating food with his hands thing.
I've never eaten food with my hands. Pizza, French fries, sandwiches.
Yeah, we all do it. Who cares? I mean, it's different when it's so sticky food rice, when it looks
especially if you have to scratch your
people.
Anus so many times a day.
That part.
What? What the fuck are you doing,
again,
Charlie?
This argument isn't being played to a white bread state in Iowa or something.
Right.
It's being played to New Yorkers locally who are very culturally diverse and don't give a fuck about this argument anyway.
100%.
So,
and
what I was,
oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
What I was going to say earlier about the timing, why I was asking about the timing, is I had a friend run for local election in Sacramento, and he actually had some consultants come in, and they're like, hey, on this date, based on when your election is, that's when the hit piece drops.
Yeah.
And that's when the hit piece dropped. Like, it's such a science of dropping hit pieces. So who knows what they have, but I really feel like nobody was fighting him harder than the Democrats. So the Democrats have all the Oppo research. Unless there's something that didn't come up before, he's safe.
I think so too. I mean, this is ridiculous, but it's what they did, it's what they did with Bernie also. So it actually doesn't really matter. Sorry, I'm looking. Oh, Big Dumb Animal, Bronx Science grad. Look at that. Have a theory why he didn't get into Columbia. Less about him and more about how many kids from Bronx Science apply there. The school limits admits for high school. Of course, that's totally true. Also, as many people pointed out, in the U.S. is one of the few civilized nations that does not encourage the use of bidets. So, that's something. Anyway, it's disgusting. They're all disgusting. And the reason they truly hate him is because he says shit like this.
What the purpose is about this entire project, it's not simply to raise class consciousness, but to win socialism. And obviously raising class consciousness is a critical part of that. But making sure that we have candidates that both understand that and are willing to put that forward at every which moment that they have, at every which opportunity that they're given, we have to continue to elect more socialists. And we have to ensure that we are unapologetic about our socialism. There are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right, or whether it's the end goal of ceasing the means of production, where we do not have the same level of support at this very moment. And what I want to say is that it is critical that in the way that we organize, in the way that we set up our work and our priorities, that we do not leave any one issue for the other, that we do not meet a moment and only look at what people are ready for, but that we are doing both of these things in tandem, because it is critical for us to both meet people where they're at and to also organize for what is correct and for what is right, and to ensure that over time we can bring people to that issue. The ramifications of victory here is the difference between life and death for so many of our brothers, sisters, and family beyond the binary across this borough of Queens. It's the difference between having cash bail anymore or not. It's the difference between having sex work be decriminalized and not. And with every battle that we fight as socialists, we need to remember what the stakes are and ground ourselves in them, and why those stakes are important and critical to us as individuals.
Seize the means of production, he says unapologetically. That's why they hate him.
And well, we keep saying this, but like, I'm skeptical as fuck about any politician, especially running as a Democrat. But this guy is like not backing down. He's out in his native garb all the time, practicing what he's preaching right there about, it's important to stretch people's imagination on this stuff, to where don't let them say, your Muslimness is bad or something. Right. You know what I mean? Like don't just honesty is the thing. And like, he's pushing people, like he could tuck that stuff away and maybe do better in the election, but it's important to also, you fight anti-Semitism by embracing your Muslimness. It's like, it goes both ways. Like, we are an accepting culture, and I'm not going to let you define me as something that's not accepting. And here I am eating rice with my hands, and here I am.
Yeah, and we don't leave anybody
wearing that
behind.
Silly green shirt.
Stop it, Daniel. Thank you, super sticker $9.99. Cheers to you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I love him, and that's why they hate him, obviously. But yeah. I really hope that here's the thing. There's so much more footage and material for his background than there was for AOC when she won. The one thing we had was her sitting in that cafe saying, we need to bring the ruckus, and the most dangerous politician is a one-term representative, right? Those were the two sort of big moments that we all keep coming back to. And I don't know, listen, people have said that she worked for the CIA. I think she was in Niger at some point right before U.S. involvement. Like there were other parts to her that make her questionable, especially looking backwards. We didn't have all that at that point. We have a lot of evidence or receipts of his time as a city politician, and it's all pretty good. And it doesn't mean like we're all going to agree with everything, but God, I just really, really hope that he sticks to his guns, because it is a zero-sum game. And that's the thing. When Democrats are like, oh, we have to move right to get all these people, there's an assumption in them that they keep their base. They don't. They lost millions of voters as they go right and chase those Mitt Romney Republicans. It's not, it's not like, oh, then you just keep gaining more. No, it's zero sum. You turn off your base by being repellent people who will throw migrants under the bus or trans people under the bus. And he truly seems not to want to do that. Please, God, hope. I need some hope. Yes, left is best. And yes, I'm very excited for Shama Swan's race in Washington State. So let's hope she is running against Adam Smith, who's a warmongering, disgusting pig. So and she's amazing, and she certainly has the fight. And I'm sure many of you watched her on Bad Faith the other day, and or with she was also with Chris Hedges. Sorry, there it was. It came to me. Talking about, she didn't like that he's saying that he's willing to talk to billionaires. And I understand that, because, you don't reach across the aisle to those people. Billionaires don't want to give up a thing. You're not going to convince them, oh, listen, there'll be fewer, you're complaining about the homeless problem. There'll be fewer homeless people if you're not such a pig and need to steal all the resources and actually pay people working at wage, give them health care, allow them to have the same health care that you didn't have to work for, that just dropped down from the gods for you. So you're not going to convince them that it's better for them to give up some money. I think, he's also running to be the mayor of the biggest city in the country, the most diverse, that also houses Wall Street. So he is going to have to, either you don't mind that he's a politician or you just want to shun all politicians, but as a politician, he is going to have to work, from Gracie Mansion and talk to people, right? But the other part that she said was, what are the progressive left wins in Congress? What are the actual tangible wins? Now, obviously, as a city council member in Seattle, it's slightly different from being in, one of the chambers of Congress, but she has tangible wins. And that was by using the energy and the activism of the people on the outside of the halls of power and shaming the billionaires into having to concede.
100%. And that's where I don't want a circular firing squad on Zoran for not being left enough or something like that. And that's, my only criticism of her is sometimes she does that. She is you're not aggressively left enough. And he's going to be, if he wins, it's a huge example of what she did in Seattle to get her stuff. He has that opportunity on a bigger scale than she did in Seattle.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
So let's see that happen. And if he shows his ass,
she'll be there. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm not saying she's going to war with him. I mean,
no, I agree with you though. It's a little deflating when you hear it. And then there's other people on the left who have tried to pit them against oh, we're going to talk to a real socialist when there's this democratic socialist over here in New York. And that doesn't
or, the he's a Democrat. So just drop it now. I get that instinct as well, but he really wouldn't be possibly mayor if he didn't run as a Democrat in there. I mean, there's no way he would be this close to being the mayor. Yeah. It just wouldn't be. So
100%. Yeah. That's the reality in New York. And so far, he seems to be sticking to his beliefs. I think it is important, when we were talking about David Sirota the other day, it's important for him to have voices out there who are holding him to account, right? And reminding him what he said he was going to fight for and demanding that he continue to fight for it. I think that is a really important part of the whole political climate, because they're getting it constantly from the donors, from the people who hate them, from Wall Street, from all of that. They need us on the other side to continue to push. So it's not that I think we're all supposed to be oh, just wait, give him time. No, if he says something wrong, we call him out on it, not cancel him, but call him out on it. And just it's constant. It's, democracy. It's
the inside outside strategy that we've all left because it didn't work with any of the squad. But the truth is, it could work if you had somebody internally and an army of people externally who are forcing politicians to support the things that they elected the first guy for. We elected Zoran to do this leftist stuff. What the fuck is wrong with you? We're all going to show up and protest everything you do until eternity, until you pass it. So You know, this could be an example of that working.
Yep.
The danger, we can't apply this locally to senators. It's not going to work within the Democratic Party.
Yep.
But here's a guy that can get shit done for New York that we can transfer to other states and say, look, if you put pressure on these people, the army pressure, the army Bernie built that he never used could be leveraged in a way to do something, good. So let's just, so I don't want to poo-poo it. I mean, I know it's like a leftist take to just, you're too left to ever support a single Democrat.
Yeah.
I don't support the Democratic Party, but if you got a D next to your name and you're actually a socialist, I'm all in. Just prove it. Like AOC, if she was a one-term senator or congresswoman, if she did anything she said she would do, I would defend her when she stepped out and played ball a little bit. Yeah. But she's just a fraud. So that's a different situation.
I totally agree. Director of demonetization. None of these people are protecting public health and are helping to spread disease and have abandoned the disabled, which is where fascism starts. So not caring a whole lot. I have to tell you, I feel this so deeply. I felt it with the Green Party. I feel it with everybody I see who is indoors in public, speaking at big events, not wearing a mask, or publicly announcing like, hey, I need my whole audience to wear masks. I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm up on the stage. We have air purifiers. I tested. Everybody else is wearing a mask. I will put my mask on as soon as I leave. We're trying to be like, there's a way to do it. And it is supremely disappointing that there is nobody at all out there in the public sphere who is wearing a mask in public. So I agree with you. Yep. It's very difficult.
So, I mean, on that level, Sharma's purity is not that pure either. So, just.
Yeah. I mean, yes.
Because I'm as pissed at all of them for that too.
Me too.
But she paved the way for him to not be masking. You know what I mean? So for popular reasons, like it wouldn't play well that he's wearing a mask, and that's actual reality. It wouldn't, but it's the one thing he's not doing, and she didn't set the tone for that. She's not sticking up to that issue. She's caving to popular opinion instead of science.
Yep. And I do think there is a way to do it. I understand as a public figure in an enclosed space, speaking to a huge crowd, you want your face to be seen. I understand that. I think that you could then require masks for everybody there. You could clean the air and you could announce it. You could have far UV. You could do all of those things, announce what you're doing, because we are still in the midst of an ongoing pandemic that is disabling people. It's ruining our brains. It's giving us disease, all of that. You could do that.
You could latch on to at any time some new report that comes out, because there's so much science out there. You could say, you know what, I understand what people, but I've been reading a lot lately about this, and this new report really shows that we should be taking some precautions. So out of an abundance of precaution, I'm going to start adopting some of these policies.
Yeah.
So you don't look like the crazy masker, who just is rogue on his own. You're like, I read some science out here, I mean, there's ways. I'm just saying, I agree with you,
Yeah, no, I know.
SCP is amazing. They're the only group in the entire fucking country.
Yep. 100%.
Politically good on,
they're great
on COVID.
And often they even mask outdoors in crowds. I mean, they've been amazing with that. I so appreciate it. All right, let's get some joy in here before we move on to more non-joy.
Yeah, baby.
Right. And while I close this. All right, I'm not going to
got beer cans stacked up over here. Let's
love
do
it. Okay, let's.
Yeah, baby.
Ooh, another lefty LOL.
Okay, I know. I do believe we've shown this before, but I do a long time ago.
Right.
But the puppets that were right about Israel on the BBC News.
Oh yeah, spitting image.
So it's leading us into Israel, right?
Yes.
Isn't that where we're going anyway? So yeah, perfect.
I love watching your TikTok, which is next level. Clearly, that's expressed by my 13-year-old son.
No, God, please, no, no, no.
was that 89, 1989? That's crazy. Almost 40 years ago. We're still here. So there's just been like horrific video coming out of, or whistleblowers talking about what's happening at those Gazan health funds, which, by the way, like we all saw it happening and being reported by journalists in Gaza, but it apparently doesn't make it to, Western media unless it is a whistleblower who is a U.S. contractor. But I think it's worth showing because it's so disgusting to hear the American voices glibly sort of like revel in killing people who are starving for 22 months, have been bombed to, obliteration. And here are our mercenaries over there. So this is an AP report from that they put on Al Jazeera.
Desperately seeking food, starving Palestinians instead are met with live ammunition and stun grenades. This video obtained by the Associated Press shows private security contractors working at food distribution sites run by the controversial US-Israeli-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. The AP says the first of its kind video was leaked by 2 US contractors working at GHF sites. They say they've been disturbed by the dangerous and irresponsible practices they've seen. The contractors say bullets, stun grenades and pepper spray were used at nearly every distribution, even if there was no threat. One contractor said bullets were fired in all directions, at times towards hungry and desperate Palestinians. They also said security staff hired to work at the sites were often unqualified, unvetted, heavily armed, and appear to have an open license to do as they wish.
Hey, got IDF tank posted on the northwest corner.
One of the videos obtained by the AP shows what appear to be heavily armed security guards discussing how to clear nearby Palestinians.
Yeah, I think you hit one.
At least 15 gunshots can be heard. One contractor AP spoke to said security staff fired in the direction of Palestinians walking away from the aid distribution site. The AP says audio analysis of this video indicates the machine gun fire came from within 150 meters of the camera and the Palestinians who had come there desperate for food. In other videos, live ammunition can be heard even closer to the camera. The contractor who took these videos says the Israeli army has been leveraging the aid distribution system to access information on the Palestinians who go there. He told the AP all food distribution sites are equipped with cameras using facial recognition software, with footage beamed back to US analysts and Israeli soldiers.
So this has been going on now for, I don't know how many weeks, 6 weeks. Every single day they kill more starving people who are just having, it went from hundreds of aid sites to 4.
And these 4 sites, these people have to fucking hike hours back to their camps, hours of hiking with food. And did you see anybody with large amounts of food there? They have pillowcases or whatever, white sacks. You can't, the energy that this guy has to put out to get to this site, to get shot at and try to bring back food hours away from him to feed a family. We can't even pretend these are aid sites anymore. There's no aid to people in Gaza. None.
I saw a video of a man who had walked all these kilometers, got his bag of rice, was shot in the leg, then he walked all the way back and collapsed with his bag of rice and a gun hole in his leg. And this is, the Americans who are doing this with the IDF, with the help of the ISIS gang lords, who are all part of this, Yeah, I mean, they're not even pretending it's aid. We got one. I mean,
and this level now, because we now own this completely as Americans,
yeah,
is really astounding. Like, it's not like, hell, we just aren't providing the oversight we need on our ally. Now this is us. We are in the group that is letting all these people die.
Yep.
That chose to go from hundreds of sites to 4.
Yep. Not letting them die. I mean, yes, letting them die and actively murdering them. And then to see babies, they're not letting baby formula in. Israel has a blockade on baby formula. Mothers who are malnourished can't breastfeed, can't give baby formula. There's no clean water anyway.
And this is an issue that the Democrats still can't take up. They can't be on the right side of this. Like, it's so clear to the public that's been following this, which is most people, honestly, that this is wrong.
There's other videos. I don't even know if we should show them. I mean, more rape videos in Sde Taman, where the IDF are taking turns raping hostages to death. There's a Palestinian lawyer talking about how Palestinian hostages are being raped to death with sticks. And the doctors who are doing some of the torture at Sde Taman, maybe they aren't the ones raping, but they are doing medical experiments unnecessary on Palestinian hostages with no anesthesia, sawing off their bones sometimes.
I mean, where does, obviously we know where this connects to, but this is Nazi shit, Medical experimentation is peak Nazi.
I mean,
white supremacist.
Yeah.
Trash.
There, and I know we all can't stand listening to him and his energy when things are so crazy, but what's his name? Harry Enton did a piece on CNN the other day where the swing of Democrats polled in the US, their pro-Israel beliefs to now pro-Palestinian beliefs in the last, I think it was 10 years. It's like a 60-point swing. And Fox also showed US views changing. Joe Rogan is talking about this, right? Like when it's, obviously, what's his name? Theo Vaughn, these are the right-wing podcast guys who got Trump elected. Nobody thinks this is okay. And while there's like a smidge of me that's encouraged by that, the more glaring reality is that nobody in power cares what we think at all.
They don't care what we think at all. They're not, there's without a distinction between the Republican view on this and the Democratic view on this. Yeah. There is no contrast to engage anybody, and we can't do it. We can't vote our way out of it. There's just nothing. Okay. I don't want to bring too much joy to this at this point. But I did want to inject some joy into some of this in that Bob Villain, he got canceled by UTA. His tours in America that were set to go. His visa got revoked.
And there were other festivals, Radar Festival. I think that's a UK one. He was banned or prohibited or disinvited from it, but now other bands dropped out in solidarity.
Absolutely. And he's hitting the charts really well. People are buying his albums.
Yep.
I'm going to keep buying his albums. Look, he's Rage Against the Machine. Might be a little bit too clonish for some people's taste.
I'm not saying that.
No, I'm just saying it. But still, hell yes. Like the cause is more important than the music to me.
Yeah,
honestly.
absolutely.
But I do love seeing some of this going around.
Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF!
Yeah, I will take it. And, there's somebody, I don't know all these different groups' names, but, there are all of these bands that are dropping out in solidarity and saying, like, obviously it's not yes, it's about Bob Dylan, but it's about Palestinians. It's about genocide. That's where we're keeping our eyes. That's what's most important.
And you're banning free speech and art. Like, that alone should be enough. Like,
what is the definition of fascism, right? Like, you cannot protest a genocide. They have just prescribed the Palestine Action Group in the UK as a terrorist organization. And they arrested an 83-year-old priest for saying, I am against I'm against genocide and for Palestine action. They arrested her. But here, this I'm fine with is this guy. He's from Disturbed, signing a bomb that says "Death to Hamas." So, it's allowed sometimes.
And that just reminded me, in LA, they arrested a well-known activist who was part of a mass distribution service.
That's right.
And they're claiming it's like some, do we have? I think I uploaded it, but I don't know. But
which thing are you talking about?
Oh, I think I had a graphic on it, but it doesn't matter.
On the mask?
Yeah, but the point is they're going after mask advocates because they're trying to use this fascist, like, oh, you're hiding your identity.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is why I like to
indicted on federal charges of conspiracy and aiding civil unrest.
And meanwhile, these goons can show up in their stained sweatshirts and
and their masks, and they don't have their labels, and they're using government authority. If you're going to use the government power against people, you have a higher bar of showing your identity than somebody handing out fucking masks.
It's crazy. So, Tina, friend of the show, friend in real life of all of us. I hadn't heard from her for a few days, and I was worried because she hates when I say this because she's as tall as I am, which isn't that tall. We're 5'5" or whatever, but she's very slender. So I'm always like, you're so teeny and you're out there getting hit by Proud Boys and LA Sheriff Department goons, And I hadn't heard from her in a couple of days, just wondering if you're okay. And she's like, oh yeah, just chasing ICE down the freeway. They're peeing. They just kidnapped some people and then they stopped on the side of the road and they're just peeing on the side of the road in public, right? So she sends me her own video. So I don't want to show it because, until it's put up through whatever venue she's putting it up through. But then I got an alert that this is common. ICE agents are caught on camera urinating on the school campus next to a preschool in LA.
Which is a sex crime. It's you can get on the list of it's ruined people's lives. If you pee in
an alley or whatever
or something, it could ruin your entire fucking life.
Yep.
And here they are with their government fucking authority, just pissing out of school with kids.
It's just the total disregard for humanity.
For humanity, the rule of law, because it doesn't apply to them because they have Trump's, blessing on all this. And they don't have Gavin Newsom's resistance to it. Just a smidge of resistance.
Nothing. Do we have nobody who can galvanize the troops to fight against this in a orchestrated way by the people in government who are supposed to be the opposition? They're just flailing.
Nope. And this is the lesson. We got the guy with the app who created the app. We got people, putting out videos on how to resist and how to deal with, how to fight back, putting out flyers to all these businesses and how to protect yourself. But no, we don't have a party protecting anybody.
Yeah. It really is. It's people power. That is all it is. just as an update, because we talked about this when it first happened, I think it was last fall, the Maccabi hoodlum fans who went to the Netherlands to watch the soccer match there and were screaming like death to Arab, accosting women and beating people up and tearing flags down from people's homes, Palestinian flags. So there was some, resistance to them. So violence occurred on the other side as people were fighting back against this sort of like swarm of thugs coming into their area, into their communities. Those people, the people in the Netherlands who were not the Israeli fans, have been prosecuted, the ones who were accused of violence. The Maccabi fans who incited the violence, who did these chants, who beat people up, apparently the CCTV footage was mysteriously erased, and so all charges have been dropped. But like, you can charge, like, haven't crimes been prosecuted without footage before? Without CCTV footage? I mean, there are,
of course,
victims, there are eyewitnesses. They just dropped it.
Most cases are the police's word against the other person. That's how it works.
But that's how power works. They erase the footage, and then it's all dropped. So then, but what happens is now in sort of like the lexicon, it becomes, well, see, there was no prosecution of the Israeli thugs. The prosecution is of the Palestinians or the Palestinian sympathizers in the Netherlands. So it just reinforces the idea of, oh, they were just being anti-Semitic. We didn't even prosecute the Israelis.
Yeah, it reminds me of, I think I've brought this up before, the time in San Francisco on New Year's, I got arrested. Some skinheads were fighting, were talking shit to some black people out of nowhere. Black people were like, we don't need this. It's New Year's. We're having a good time. Leave us alone. Trying to defuse the whole thing. And cops come and just throw all the black guys to the ground, ignore all the white supremacists. And of course, I'm like, no, you don't understand what happened. I can prove it. I was witnesses. I get arrested too for just talking about it to them. So, and then, the icing on the cake is they stole all my money, and everybody that got arrested that night on New Year's had all of us had our money stolen from us, from the cops in San Francisco.
Win-win for them. Look at that.
Yeah.
They probably got bonuses too. And I see Jay keeps making fun of me. It's Maccabee, right? No, Maccabi, Maccabee. It's something. Anyway, they're horrific. The videos coming out of Israel are just devastating. And to see babies, skin and bones, the only time that anybody's like, oh, chubby, I love it, is when they're babies. Wish people love chubby now, but whatever. In your 50s, they don't love chubby so much. When you're babies, it's like a sign of health. And to see skin and bones and then death, they are starving to death as they're also being bombed and shot at. And even if they had the formula, they don't have clean water. The fact that this continues 22 months in and nobody apart from, civilians on the ground and Ansar Allah is stepping up. And I know they're talking about a possible ceasefire now, but as they're talking about it, Israel continues to bomb, schools where it's supposed to be a safe haven, a refugee camp. Doctors, of course, are just being completely destroyed with their whole families. This genocide is go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
It just proves that we truly don't have a party on our side as the public, because this is the way you would easily win if you're a Democrat. Embrace this. And you could say, Biden, you could make an argument that you guys handled all this stuff better than they are now. They're not even making that argument. Like, they're just, because you still are beholden to the people that enabled this genocide in the first place. But like, there's a genocide the public doesn't agree with. You could run on that issue and win on that issue right there easily. And you wouldn't even have to be like completely anti-Israel, but you can't even go a smidge left of Trump's currently genocidal position, because that would betray Israel's support for you, and you might get campaign funds against you in your election.
Yeah, I think, and Netanyahu's coming tomorrow, and Zoran said that he would arrest him if he came. Nobody else has said that. Nobody else in the Democratic Party has said that. They stood up and applauded for him a year ago. Genocide. It's a genocide. And Francesca Albanese is also just put together, I think it's like 117 pages documenting all the different corporations that have profited off of genocide, so that they also, when it comes time, whenever that is, much too late, to prosecute these people who have either committed or been complicit in this genocide, there's documentation of it. But I don't know, it just all feels like so much too little and too late. There's a video of a little girl singing Bella Ciao, and her older sister is playing, I think, the violin as she sings, and she's like 3, and as she sings, there's a plane above her head about to drop a bomb or whatever it's about to do, and she's sort of terrified, and her dad off camera sort of like helps bring her back, and her sister, who's probably not older than 10, keeps singing and playing. Nope. We will never be forgiven for allowing this to continue, and we shouldn't be.
No.
All right. So happy times. Happy times. Happy times. Really important to find our communities. Like, truly. Do you have anything else to say before we sort of close out or show or anything?
I think we'd have to go on for another hour. We have like 10,000 videos, things we don't get to, but like, we know that Israel is awful. They're committing a genocide. We know our government is a part of it. We know both parties are a part of it. We know that it's unpopular and they can't change their position because our opinion no longer fucking matters.
Yeah.
So do with that what you will, and if that will is violence.
Zoran is the compromise, actually. The way they said that about Bernie, it just keeps moving further and further, because when you have people who have been so divested from this system that they are criminalized for the poverty that the billionaires have created, you leave them no choice. They're going to die anyway. You're forcing them to be criminals and to die. That's their choice.
You're making life unlivable. Rent, you can't afford to rent. You can't afford to eat. You can't have health care. Your opinion doesn't matter on stopping a genocide. Like, you
don't have a home.
You've given
a criminal not to have a home.
People should be violent because you have removed the voting to solve things equation, and everybody knows that option is removed from us now.
Yeah. It's very clear that nothing we say or want matters, which again is why Zoran's win in the primary, we'll see what happens, but his win in the primary is the glimmer of hope, not to, again, like the people who love to do this are like, oh, I told you he's gonna sell you out and whatever, no kings and don't make him your hero. It's not that. It's the hero are the 50,000 people who showed up to donate their time for him, to knock on doors, to talk to everybody, to try to convince them to vote for this guy with the weird name, who says he's a socialist, who wants workers to seize the means of production, who says it's a genocide that we need to fight against, that he would arrest the man that the rest of Congress stands up to applaud and give a standing ovation to Benjamin Netanyahu. So that is the win, is that in spite of all the money and all the smearing and all the corporate media shit and all of it, the Democratic Party not endorsing it, all of that, that the people have a glimmer of hope that if they hit the streets and show up, that something might change. So that is the thing, is to embrace your community and to stand up for each other.
Amen. And regardless of what happens with him, it's a shock to the system that's needed. And that shock can help us, even if he ends up being a total fucking sellout. garbage human being, which I don't think he
he
will.
will be.
But that
nobody who
it's
sings
still,
to his nanny like that. Come on.
He freed the nip. I want his
freed the
nip to be. I would like his nip put back and unfreed, but
Well,
let's
to
just
each his own.
roll with it.
It was warm that day. All right. This is just so oh, I don't have a write out about this. This is just this is worker solidarity. So really great account on the line who just highlights like wonderful union, working class solidarity, showing up for your fellow humans, which you all do as well. And we're so grateful to have you in our community. So thank you. Keep punching up, everybody.
Cheers.
We'll see you Wednesday. Cheers.
Being at the detention center, being able to see the folks that were just waving at us from the windows, it's hard for you to be able to witness that and not think. They think everybody's forgotten them, and they have not been forgotten. And I'm so grateful to the labor movement. I'm so grateful to belong to a union that says, F that, we're gonna fight back.
We see you! We see you! We see you!
Members from all over the country, they took the justice journey. They got on the bus and they came here to show what is happening in these big buildings. So many families has been torn apart from these ICE raids. This is one of the facilities around the country where people are being detained and then from here being deported.
When we get off this bus, we're gonna be together. And let's make sure we raise our voice and let them know that we ready, we coming. Are we ready? Yes! Well, let me hear it. We ready!
We all stand here today at the gates of this ICE prison, where just weeks ago, PYM members from all over the state, as well as allies, rallied for Mahmoud Khalil. Today, we return with this justice journey and all of our allies to say our liberation is bound together.
And what we are demanding to stop this ICE raids, and that we want to make sure that people who have been unjustly detained being released, and we're saying enough. We're not going to let them to ignore us, so we are going to continue to shine a light to what is happening in this country.
We have people from different countries in the United States, so, and it concerns to me, because the people on the top, they just want money, and they always been making money with human bodies. It's us. They look at us as an instrument. They don't look at us as humans. As soon as they protect it on the top, they don't care about anybody, At Los Angeles, people, they already start to fighting back against ICE. And I hope, more people are going to start to wake up. And more people want to start to join us to fight back.
For me, the justice journey means hope. We took on this fight because it's the right thing to do. We took on this fight because it affects our members. It affects our communities. So, we are the working class.
Every day there's some action going on somewhere. People are hitting the streets. And I think the message is being heard.
As long as we're around, as long as I'm here, I'm going to stand up for you. I'm going to stand there. We're going to fight. We're going to fight together. And the change is going to come.